I'm Nicholas Ashbaugh. It's good to see everybody. Thank you again for your patience. I was dealing with some health issues in December, and then lo and behold, here in January, we had some wildfires. And so it's been a crazy couple of months, suffice it to say, but I do appreciate your understanding. This would have been up a couple of days earlier, but there actually was like an evacuation warning in my area, so I had to heed that and be careful. So let's get started without any further delay. This monthly reading will take you through the remainder of this month, helping you see any twists and turns, also opportunities. The goal is to help you feel empowered. And because you waited, you'll be the first to get the February reading, so it all works out in the end. Let's begin with the channeled messages. As I was tuning into your sign, there were two symbols that came through. The first was basically scales, just like you would see in like the Six of Pentacles. And so one of the messages here is discernment, basically. If you choose well and if you say no, basically have really good boundaries, you'll have enough. You'll have more than enough to basically get what you need done. Time, energy, and money. And the other thing that I saw was a snail. And lots of Pentacles messages coming through. This would be like the Nine of Pentacles because you see that little tiny snail at the bottom. That basically represents a slow and steady approach towards something. Not rushing just for the sake of an arbitrary deadline, not doing something so quickly that you overlook the fine details. Taking your time, doing it right the first time, being happy with it. And so anything worth doing is worth doing in that manner. And let's take a look at the cards and see where some of the challenges may be. Lots and lots of energy around resources, energy, and perhaps managing all of that. All right, let's shuffle the cards and begin. Please take a moment, close your eyes. I'd like you to focus on the rising sun, feeling that sense of connection to source as the rays of light reach out and touch each and every energy point on your body. Feel that they're also creating a circle or a cocoon of light around you, and allow this to be your connection to angels, spirit guides, and ascended masters. Let's call them in and let's see what spirit has to say. All right, let's get started here with the Two Spirit Balance card. This particular card appears in the Catalyst position, and this card is about allowing yourself to embrace divine masculine and divine feminine. And guess what? In the recent past, you got exactly that with the Strength card. I think and I hope as society, we're starting to move past trying to put people in a box, whether it's because of age or religion or place of origin or gender. It doesn't matter so much. So this is actually a card of liberation for you. So if there's someone in your life that's constantly trying to kind of push you into a category or box that doesn't feel right, now is a chance to liberate yourself from that and to see things as being much more open. It's not black and white. It doesn't have to be so binary, okay? As I take a look at the overarching spread, I quite like what I see here, especially the center card, Four of Wands, setting the stage, creating a firm foundation. We see a lot of busyness. This is multitasking. This is things rapidly moving. Between this, there would be success. So I feel like this is going to be a good month. Let's just do card by card, and then I'll help you through some of the challenging ones. So when it comes to partnerships, Four of Wands is ideal. It represents someone that you can trust. If it's a business alliance, this is the kind of partnership where you're both pulling your weight and you can just sort of like let them do their thing and you do yours without worrying. So trust is essential, but especially for business. In friendship, this is someone who likewise has your back. It's your BFF, right? And in relationships, there's such a bond that you may decide to get married or you may decide to take it to the next level. What I like about this traditional Rider-Waite-Smith card is it shows that the stage is set. We can see people in the background approaching the stage, but it reminds you that you have to do the inner work first, that it's not just about immediate gratification and the people being there. You want to make sure that you are on that same firm foundation. If you do that, I feel like the rest kind of falls into place. So let's take a look at what's crossing this. We have Eight of Wands. It's a busy month. Many of you may already be juggling more than one thing. Both the center card and the outcome card are related to productivity. So Eight of Wands, you're in the middle of a lot of things. The Seven of Wands, which is the outcome, is the importance of being graceful under that pressure and fire and saying, you know what, I'm going to delegate this. I'm going to say no to that. I'm going to focus on this. This ability to rise above, to be a leader, to delegate, it's important because as we look at the karmic lesson, it feels like in the past that might not have always been something that you experienced. Maybe because if we're looking at previous places that you worked, there was poor leadership. Maybe if you look at your own family, there was just like a chaotic environment where nobody really knew what to do, so everybody just kind of winged it. So what we're going to look at in January is clear direction, clear leadership, clear communication. Clarify it wherever you can. This card, when reversed, is saying, why don't we approach the next few weeks as a chance to work smarter, not necessarily harder? And if you see a bunch of people around you that are vying for attention, competing, and not really communicating, that what you're going to do is lead by example and say, hey, why don't we find areas where we can conserve energy? Why don't we collaborate, cooperate, communicate? Find that area where it can all come together and it sets you up as the leader that you are. There could also just simply be some fatigue and exhaustion, and sometimes the Five of Wands is like spinning your wheels in the mud, and you just wonder, like, why am I not treading and making more progress than I should? If you're not finding that momentum, it might be time to explore a different path, a different trajectory, okay? Let's talk about strength. So we can actually take this as an indication that it might be time to focus on health and well-being. This can represent, for some of you, the fact that maybe you haven't brought into balance sort of like your personal health. You work too much, you give too much to others, etc. So this is a time to devote some time and energy to yourself. Strength, of course, can also represent a challenge which you can, will, and possibly even are overcoming in this moment. And it's very unlike the original, and I'll bring the original up in just a second, but let's focus on the marriage of these two cards. So this strength card basically shows divine masculine and feminine merged into one. There's no reason that you can't be nurturing and assertive, right? We can take the best of both worlds, and you comprise that within yourself. So whoever or whatever in your life said you couldn't do that, or you had to be a certain way, you don't have to. Good leadership is sensitive and intuitive and kind, and also direct, and also has boundaries. So you'll find that perfect mix. This month, it's really important to pick and choose battles. Yes, strength can basically overcome any challenge that is in front of her, but look, there is a cost. She's putting her hands in the mouth of this lion, and she has to almost like force it to understand or agree. And if you've ever been in a situation where you have to basically say, didn't we agree to do this? Why aren't you doing this? And it's kind of like you go into the energy of nagging. It's not good. So what we want to do instead this month is pick and choose wherever it is that you're going to fight or push for something. And then in other situations, maybe it's not worth it. If the person isn't ready to listen or to receive, and we see that, by the way, a little bit of a fast forward here to the Five of Swords, sometimes people just aren't in the mindset to say, oh, I understand. Yes, let's talk about that. So if the communication is indicating that they're not ready, listen to that. Save your time and energy. In the crowning position, we have the Ten of Pentacles. It's reversed, but it still represents value. What it's encouraging you to do in this moment is to look at things from all angles. So for instance, let's say there's a job opportunity in front of you. The salary, how much you make per month or per year, of course, that is going to factor into your decision of how valuable the job is. But what might also factor in is how much vacation you get, if there's overtime that's expected, or if you get more time to yourself to pursue dreams, to spend with your friends and family, to rest. Work-life balance. That can make something that pays less more valuable because you can spend more time on yourself. So we're going to look at not just money, but time and energy in the equation, and what you can do with that if you have more time and energy. So you may get paid a little less at the main job, but then you have more time and energy to pursue dreams and relationships and personal development and health and well-being. So look at more than the money. That's what I get with this. We also see family and structure as a part of this, and sometimes that weighs on us. When we're children, parents and teachers may ask, what do you want to do when you grow up? They may try to put you into a box, as we talked about. You may not feel like that box fits you. You may feel like you have a different way to shine. So this card is saying, find your own path, be your own person. Allow yourself to break free from that, to create your own balance. And do it at your own pace, right? Going back to the snail thing. Let's say you want to make a change. It doesn't have to happen overnight. Slowly invest in that new version of yourself and eventually find what we see here, which are people that can celebrate you for who you are, okay? The Ten of Pentacles can be marriage. The Four of Wands can be marriage. The Ten of Pentacles can be a contract. The Four of Wands can be a business alliance. So we're seeing something get serious, suffice it to say, okay? Let's look at the first big potential block here that we see in the near future. So it's the Five of Swords. It was reversed, but let's pull it up right for a second. This can represent, as I said back when we were looking at the Strength card, someone who doesn't want to receive what you have to say. Maybe they're too busy trying to, quote unquote, win the argument. Maybe they don't want to take accountability. Maybe they want to just exchange barbs and try to elicit a response. So when this card is reversed, you're starting to look beyond that. You can say, okay, it's like checkmate. I see what you're doing. We're not going to do that. We see the crow kind of cawing in his ear, and he's done with it. It's like enough is enough. So you can simply walk away from somebody who's trying to spout out like negativity or trying to say something to get under your skin. You can also walk away from someone who doesn't want to listen, who isn't taking accountability, and come back at another time. The next card in this suit is Six of Swords, so it's just distancing yourself and waiting and holding space. Back to the center, what you could do is this. This is how you can meet the Five of Swords. You can say, you know what? I'd really love to talk about this. I don't feel like we're making any progress right now. Do you want to revisit this tomorrow? Or do you want to come back after you've had a chance to look at things or think about what I've talked to you about? All of that can show that you are firm but friendly. By the way, do you see a trend here? You can be both. You can say, I'm very clear on what I believe on this. I'm open to hear other points of view, but right now you're not listening to me. And until we can listen to each other, it's not going anywhere. Strength, having both assertiveness and kindness. So I really feel like that's it. That's part of this balance, embodying divine masculine and divine feminine and not paying this any mind. As we take a look at the card that represents you, we have the King of Cups in reverse. One of the things that I like on this card is the starfish, so let's look at it upright for a moment and talk about that. So that represents the ability to rebound. A starfish, when it loses one of its appendages, oftentimes can grow it back. Not every variety, but most. And that means that if you give yourself enough time to heal emotionally and to open yourself up to different ways of growth and rebounding, that really wants to come through this month. But the King of Cups has had enough. In reverse, there's usually something where he's saying, I don't need this anymore. That's how I view a King of Cups in reverse. It's saying I need to let go of a thought process, an emotion, maybe even a person in your life. I mean, it could be this. We just talked about someone who isn't accountable, who can't listen, who likes to sometimes just be critical without being constructive. That's a heavy energy, right? So the King of Cups is saying, I need to let that go so that I can then make room for something more, so that I can receive an upgrade. And ultimately, that's how I'm reading this, is it's time for an upgrade. But one of the things that you're really going to take into account as you move forward is, does this give me the balance that I'm looking for? And as you're starting to welcome in ostensibly new people, but also new opportunities, are they also allowing you room to grow, room to be whoever you want to be? So now as we take a look in the environment, it's not really surprising that the Hermit would come through. It's the Hermit in reverse, which is showing that there's a little bit of work that some of you are doing on yourself, maybe some confidence building, some self-discovery, some research. It won't take as long as you think, and there'll come a point where you're just going to say, I'm going to go for it, right? So here we have the lantern right under my finger, but she doesn't need it because this Hermit found the light from within. I always mention that there is a capacity for the Hermit to become the star. It holds it in the lantern. She's already there. But there's a little bit of disbelief, like, can I really do this? Is it safe to go out there, to be loved, to be seen, to be successful? Yes, yes, and yes. But some confidence, that's the main thing that I'm seeing here. As we look at Hope, Spheres, and Opportunity, we have a Page of Wands. She's throwing that baton in the air, and she's saying, let's do it. It reminds me of a very old TV series, Mary Tyler Moore, where at the very end of the closing credits on season 1 or 2, she throws her hat up in the air, and it's like, and the song on that is You Might Just Make It After All, right? So what I love is the connection here, which is, what have you got to lose? You might actually not just succeed, but really succeed and surprise everyone in the process. So go for it. Take your idea and go next level with it. Pages communicate, they engage, they listen, they get inspired. This is your magic card. This is your key to success. Wands are magic, right? Your magic wand. So you have an idea, you have a door that's opening up. Are you ready to go through it? Are you ready to toss your hat in, just like Mary Tyler Moore, and say, why not? I might make it. Yes, you might. In the outcome here, we have the Seven of Wands. The encouragement here is exactly what you see. Find a way to gracefully deal with challenges, to balance a bunch of things. You can delegate as needed. I love this because she's not bothered. She's not letting all of the criticism, the complaints, everybody has an opinion nowadays, right? And they leave it in, if it's not like in the comments, they feel like they can say it more freely, where like decorum has been lost a little bit, respect has been lost a little bit. So she may listen to a snide remark, someone thinking that they can do something better, and just say, okay, it's their opinion. I'm not going to get defensive. So the original Seven of Wands is a defensive card. You can do it, but she's going to pick and choose. So we have the two different ends of the spectrum here. He's going for it. She's saying, maybe I'll do it, maybe I won't, but I have to really believe that it's worth my time and energy. She's more discerning. I like that. So if someone comes through and tries to push your buttons, you may just simply say, not today. Okay? So what I'm seeing here is maturity. By the way, with the Seven of Wands, you can handle anything that comes your way. It's just important to keep your cool, keep your calm, and know when to save on the solar plexus. That's the battery. Okay, let's expand this. We're going to take a deeper look into health, wealth, love, and destiny. We'll begin everything with health, which is your mind, body, and spirit. Arguably one of the most important cards that we're going to look at here. This card represents finding balance in your life, again, perfectly connected to this card, and it encourages us to find levity, things that create joy, and it might be the missing thing that helps you kind of get your head above water, right, in the King of Cups. So when was the last time you had a good laugh? When was the last time you did something just because it was fun? If it's been too long to recall, it's time to put that into practice. If you've been doing it, keep doing it. The other thing that I'm looking at here are the three little birds. They remind me of three cups. And in fact, if I were to use the Wild Unknown, the Three of Cups has three birds on it. So This could be also an encouragement to find things like social outlets, whether it's activities, taking a class, getting involved in the community, just doing things where you can make new connections. This will really help you get through some of the challenges, possibly find like-minded individuals that can celebrate and embrace you for who you are. So that's the first message that's coming through. Now let's broadly look at this and see what other messages with respect to health are coming forth. So a general encouragement to focus on really looking at just your overall body. If there's anything that feels weak, this is a time to focus on strengthening that. It could just simply be physical activity. As always, I'm not a doctor, so work with your doctor before you change your physical sort of outlook when it comes to that. Exercise, I should say. Other things that I see, again, with the social aspect, with the Four of Wands, that perfectly tracks. The Five of Swords can also represent an inner saboteur or an inner dialogue where we sometimes say, I can't do this, it won't happen. This is an encouragement to dismiss and to release those thoughts because they aren't serving you, they aren't accurate. And really what you can do is turn them around and say, how can I do this? Who should I talk to? What can I research? Get curious. Find a way to get out there and get inspired. This is an old way of thinking. It's an old cycle that needs to be released. And it will help open you up for the next category that I'm going to look at, which is wealth. But first and foremost, it could just be that you're being hard on yourself. It could, however, come from your family. Too often, a parent or a loved one can say something like, why can't you be more like your sister, your brother, your friend? Or they simply say, you don't have what it takes. You're not this enough or that enough. That was their opinion, and you can leave it. You do not need to take it. Focus instead on what you believe about yourself. Prove them wrong by being wildly successful. Success is the best revenge because it doesn't hurt anybody, right? It just helps you. I'm also seeing a correlation between strength and Ten of Pentacles. There could be a parental figure or some sort of mentor in your life that, again, there comes a point where you just kind of need to have better boundaries and say, this is my choice, this is my life, thanks for your advice, I'm going to move in this direction. Emotional well-being here, we have the King of Cups, and it just feels like there could be heightened sensitivity, maybe again because there hasn't been a lot of support or there's too much pressure to match up to expectations, so you're going to step back a little bit there. Coming out of your shell, the Hermit in reverse is an encouragement to get out there and, like we saw with these three little birds, mix and mingle. And other than that, everything else is looking pretty good. Seven of Wands is also encouraging you not to overdo it if you're starting something like a new exercise routine. Sometimes you can pull a muscle here because you're trying to take on too much. Other than that, I feel like most of these cards are fairly manageable. We didn't get a Devil, we didn't get a Ten of Swords. So let's go ahead now and move on from health to wealth. We're going to look at resources, life, purpose, and career. I'm just going to pull this one up to the camera. It reads Owl, and then we have wisdom, learning, and transition. It's pretty straightforward here. If you want to get training, if you want to learn something new, if you want to take an internship or something of that nature, this is perfectly aligned with that. It's also about your own inner wisdom, right? I mentioned that many of you might already be doing that or just have done that, and the Hermit is about sharing that with others. So maybe the people around you don't know you have a hidden skill or a specialized skill, and if you elevate that and bring it to them for consideration, it could open up new opportunities for you. The transition piece is about deciding to get strategic. So find out where you want to go next in your life, in your trajectory, and say, what am I missing? What do I need in order to bridge that sort of journey? This is where the Nine of Pentacles comes through. It's slow, steady, methodical. So you're going to get everything in order to make this transition easy. And again, it could come from training. But for many of you, it's a wise and learned approach towards the next step so that there's no surprises. You know how much it's going to cost in time, energy, and money. You know that you can do it. You've worked on the self-confidence, and doors start to open up. All right, we're going to pull some specific cards to drill into all 5 major categories that I look at here. So I'll name them out one by one, and then we'll pull the cards up and explain them afterwards. All right, so for those of you that currently have a job, for those that are entrepreneurs or own their own companies, looking at those that are job seeking, It's a good card for job seekers. Then going on to students, and finally, retirees. Let's begin with the first of these, those of you that are in a job. High Priestess, she's reversed. Trust yourself. You may also feel frustrated because that level of trust isn't there from the employer, the boss, the coworker, and you're like, why aren't you listening to me? And it's tough, right? Maybe even you're having a hard time saying that. One thing that I like to advise people with is just to put it out there. So learning to be neutral in the communication is a stepping point to being more assertive. But rather than saying, I don't know, I think I might have an idea, just put it out there and say, before we continue, I'd like to pose a question. I'd like to pose an alternative. I've researched it. I'm passionate about it. What do you think? You didn't say it was good or bad, but you did present it in a way that's compelling. You could also say, I feel really passionate about this, and I think it could help us out. Because I looked at this, because I looked at this, I would love for you to take a moment and at least consider it. Now, you could also say, because you're always wanting to look for something new, here it is. There's so many ways you could approach this. Be creative. She's creative. And intuit and tailor something for the audience. This is also about intuitive development. And for some of you, you're deciding to lean into your intuition. It could be a decision to take on a more creative path in your life. You can see through nonsense. The High Priestess is like a fox. You can't outfox the fox. So if someone is trying to pull the wool over your eyes, you're going to say, you know what? No, I see this. And I don't think so. So you're going to be assertive. You're going to be clear. You're going to trust your clairvoyance. And if you're ready to, you can be much more convincing in a presentation, in an argument, etc. Very powerful energy. You're set up for success. The only challenges that I see for those that are currently working are people that aren't ready to listen. So pick and choose a time that matters, right? I also think coming out of your shell or being seen or heard more could be the challenge for some of you. Just throw your hat in the ring. Just go for it. That's really what I see here. And push a little bit. Say, wait a second, I'm not done if someone tries to cut you off. So finding and using your voice, even though we don't have a lot of swords here, is key. And not wasting your time with this person. Okay? Let's move on to those of you that are entrepreneurs. Clarity is what we've got here. 7 of Cups in the upright position is considering all the outcomes and options. It can be research, but when it's reversed, it's decision time. And what you want to do is be very clear in your wording. So, for instance, an instruction manual. A lot of times if you get something from IKEA, it's just pictures and maybe a few sparse words in a couple of languages, but it's usually just pictures. Using as few words that are the most effective as possible is going to be key. Less is more, and you just want to not waste too much time. If you don't understand what people are saying, ask. If others don't understand, improve in that. And then also when you're offering products and services, this can represent too many. So it's better to prune it and have things that people really, really love than have a bunch of things where there's maybe a couple that are okay. So go for the things that are performing well, clarify your communication, ask questions too to get feedback. All of that is going to help you improve your product and your brand. One quick note, if there is an abusive customer or client, it may be important to decide to just say no, right? And let that person go, because it's not always worth the business, right? We were talking about the 10 of Pentacles earlier. Is it really worth keeping that client if they get to sort of use you as, a person to unload all of their drama and trauma on? The answer is no. I used to work in a restaurant, and sometimes you would have to ask a customer to leave if they were rude or weren't following the policies in the restaurant. You have the right to refuse service if someone is being unkind or inappropriate. I can count on maybe 2 fingers the amount of times that had to happen, but sometimes it has to. So be discerning in that area as well. All right, let's move on to those of you who are job seeking. I mentioned out loud that I like that the Wheel of Fortune came through. So you have a great chance of finding a job right now. You have to take a chance. See the little dice that are on her shirt? It's basically saying, I need to give this a chance. I need to go for it. which is very much in alignment with hopes, fears, and opportunity. It is a competitive landscape, the Seven of Wands. So the key to success is finding a way to shine and not blend in. So everything that we saw here, paint outside of the box a little bit. Present yourself in a way that is memorable, and unique and singular and absolutely aligned with who you are. I'm also looking at the cards here, and I see that current sort of connections can help you. Previous sort of like student relationships, so I would say colleagues, alumni connections, and maybe even family connections can help you here. So don't be afraid to ask. If you see someone on LinkedIn or know someone who knows someone, use that existing network. Okay? Let's move on to students. The Empress card in reverse. It's hard for some of you to be heard or seen. There might be a place where you're studying where a teacher is very demanding or the curriculum is very structured, and that could create challenges if you like more freedom. I think what you're going to have to do on this one also is pick and choose battles. If it's a single class, sometimes there's a professor who just has a certain way of teaching, and you can discard it as soon as you get your passing grade. If it's something that is, just not resonating, we're, early enough in the new year that you might be able to drop the class or change, but sometimes it's worth just pushing through. I know that in both graduate and undergraduate, there were at least a couple of classes in both schools and both degrees that I had where I was like, this is not what I signed up for, but it's required, so I'll just do it. And picking and choosing battles, that is really, really important. Not arguing with people that are not worth the time and energy, really being mindful of that. I think everybody can benefit. Coming out of your shell a little bit, this is encouraging you to have some fun and engage in the student life, which we talked about in the previous category. Let's move now to the retirees out there. We have the Four of Cups coming through, and I looked at this and she looked bored. So for some of you, there could be this feeling of, is this it? Is this what retirement was? I got that feeling twice in my life. One, when I went to undergraduate, because it wasn't exactly as I had wanted it to be, and I'd wish that I'd done a little bit more research. Graduate school, much better, but undergraduate, I was like, so this is college. And then when I graduated from graduate school, I was disappointed in the world at large. I was like, is this what the working world is like? Okay. And so both of these times were kind of encouragement. Like, I wish I could go back to that young version of me and say, there's another option. You could just do what I'm doing now. You could create your own company. You could, go out there and do something that's not in the traditional sort of corporate or 9-to-5 job sphere. But that was just evolving at the time that I came out of school. So anyway, there's always another way, and that's what this is showing. So retirement doesn't have to look like retirement that we saw 10 or 20 years ago. You could be traveling a lot, you could be teaching, you could be working, you could be learning. You can do whatever you want. There's that cup at the end of the rainbow there, and she's just got to kind of say, oh, well, what if I do that? Just because I'm retired doesn't mean that I can't do this. It's going to be different for all of you, but the encouragement here is to look beyond what was and also what's expected. Your friends and family may not understand why you've decided to do something in retirement, whether it's a new project or a new class or a new chapter, but that's your life. That's your choice. There's a lot of rebellious energy coming forth, Aries, this month. I love that some of it's coming in the retirees section, because life continues. It doesn't stop when you stop your job. It's a chance now to do something exciting, new, and unexpected. I think that there may be a challenge in meeting new people because of the Hermit reversed. And again, it does feel like family pressure and family ties are something that are going to be a little bit of a friction point. So having boundaries for retirees is definitely coming through. All right, let's move on to love and relationships. The card that came through here in the upright position is basically about transcending fear. And it says, facing fear leads to fearlessness. Embrace your power. I think this is perfectly aligned to the strength card, right, that came forth. And also, again, about balance, creating boundaries, finding your strength, and transcending fear. I'm not afraid to speak up. I'm not afraid to try. Her third eye is wide open. She sees things as they truly are. All right, just as before, we're going to break this into a few categories. We'll start off with those that are in a relationship, followed by those that are looking for love, and finally, single and happy. We're going to start off with one of the biggest cards in tarot here, the Death and Rebirth card. I like that this one included both because there's two sides to every coin. We're seeing that balance energy come through time and again. So what can death and rebirth represent in a relationship? Well, for some of you, there may be a new chapter. You know, we just covered one of those. It can be retirement, it can be graduation, it can be the birth of a child. It could also be that some of you just decided to tie the knot because we have marriage coming through twice here. So you're either kind of like leveling up or you're moving into something completely different and new. And then there's always a choice as you go through these pivotal changes. Are we still in this together? So hopefully the answer is yes. I just see a big change. As I looked at this whole card, I just got reset. It's like a reset. And you're not carrying baggage into the next chapter unless you want to. There could also be a death in the family that you're dealing with, which is a big event. I thought it was a big deal when I lost my dad. It was an even bigger deal when I lost my mom. Losing a pet can be really impactful. Again, the birth of a child. Death and birth, they're very, very big changes. So if your partner's going through it, if you're going through it, if both of you are, give the relationship time to absorb it. And what I do like about the whole spread, I will say this, is you have two of the most stable cards that I could want in a relationship. You've put in work multiple times here. The challenge in existing relationships is potentially one partner not being ready to listen or being a little argumentative. I think it comes from sensitivity, not from cruelty. So give it time, give it space. Clear communication is key, but you have to both be ready, okay? And just allowing changes to happen naturally without forcing them is key. You could also be reaping the rewards of all the work that you've been putting into the relationship. But I look at that scythe sometimes as it's time. You've reaped the reward because it's a reaper. All right, let's move on now to those that are looking for love. We have a divine partnership, but you both have a little work to do. So you came through as the King of Cups. The partner's coming through as Queen of Cups. Both of them is reversed. Like attracts like. With both of them in the reverse state, here's the challenge right now. It feels like you both are looking for something or someone to complete a missing piece. So there's a little bit of healing that needs to be done. There could also just be a heavy burden or some sadness, depression, or anxiety that's coming forth because, or even just fear, because that's part of this oracle card. So you want to heal that first and then get out there. Definitely a water sign could be coming through. So Cancer, Scorpio, or Pisces. The other thing that I see here is there's just a lot of moving pieces, right? So you're very busy, they're very busy. You're very strong, they're very strong. One person's a little more outspoken, one person's a little shy. So finding the balance within will help you find the balance in that relationship. But can you find it? Yes, it looks very good, actually. Finally, if you're single and happy, good for you. This is a card of creating something wonderful. Three of Pentacles can be learning, it can be mastering a new skill, it can be teaching. For many of you that are writers, this is your card. It's a great time to put it into writing, put it into motion. The only thing that this card brings forth is a reminder to not send mixed signals because they got the colors of the traffic signal wrong, because it kind of looks like that from here. And it's also okay to decide to take a step back. Listen to your own sort of intuition here. Sometimes you can hit in the brake for a second and just take a moment. So don't rush through anything, any process, and don't give mixed signals. That's the main thing that I get on that. Let's go to destiny. Ooh, I like this. So we have divine protection coming through. Whatever you're going through, particularly for those of you that we just talked about that might be going through a shift, you're protected. You have to believe and lean into that protection, but it's there. The other thing with angelic energy is They're always there. They're always helping. But you can invite them in and you can ask them to be a little bit more clearer in what you should be focusing on. They like to work subtly, my experience with them anyway. So ask, say, please come forth, please make it clear, please show me which path is least complicated or something like that, or the highest good, et cetera, et cetera. And you might just be working on firming up things in your life that protect you and your family. It could be insurance, it could be a will and trust. You might be looking at actual legitimate security for your home. All of those things are comprised in that card as well. We have one more card to look at. This is anything that you might still be trying to get some clarity on. So go ahead, ask Spirit whatever your final question might be, and I'm going to shuffle the cards and see what comes through. Ooh, it's quite nice. All right, so for your final question, you got this answer, the 10 of Cups in reverse. It's a yes. It's a yes, comma, but it may not come through exactly how you expected or when you expected. 10 of Cups is joyful, so it doesn't matter if it's a relationship or a project or an opportunity. It's a yes to that. But the direction that it comes from, the person that connects you to it or the person that shows up, there's something unexpected. Be open to something a little bit different, okay? One thing that needs to exist in your life a little bit more is harmony, balance. When I look at this beautiful sort of musical score that's wrapping around all of the energy in this card, to me, it's harmonious, it's balanced. So whatever isn't in harmony, isn't in balance, now is the time to rectify that. The other thing with this is I like that we have best friends here or perhaps lovers, and it shows that this is a time where one of the things in your life that wants to come through, like I said, is relationships. You got 3 of the best cards here. 4 of Wands, 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups. Love, marriage, and fidelity, basically. So this tells me that if you want to make a connection this month and you feel that there's mutual sparks, go for it. And that is the final thing, is you might exactly make whatever your goal or dream is and then some. So really throw your hat in the ring into consideration, okay? That, my friends, is everything. Thank you so much again for your patience. I really needed it this month and last month. Health reasons last month, safety reasons this month, and I'll make it up to you by putting your video first. But I always like to wait until I've got the mind, the presence, the energy to give you what you need. So I hope this was worth the wait. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed it. Leave a comment. Let me know what really resonated for you. You can also follow me across social media. It's always my full name on all major platforms. It's nicholasashbaugh.com on Blue Sky. That's also my website, so feel free to check out that if you need more news or information. To give back a little bit extra, you can do that through super stickers, super chat, and memberships. That helps me produce new content and podcasts. I'll actually have a new podcast coming out at the end of this month, so definitely subscribe and keep an eye out for that. I can't wait to share it. Quick reminder, I don't give private readings, nor do I use direct messages, so always stay safe. And let me know if you see any imposters out there. I believe Apollo is behind us. Yes, he is. Hey, buddy. Yes, you heard your name, didn't you? Such a good boy. So, yeah, Apollo is still recovering a little bit from his injury. That's why he has that soft cone on. But hopefully he'll be out of that next week. I just want to end by saying thank you so much for your love, your support, your patience, and for spending some time with me tonight. I hope you're having a great new year. And again, you'll get the first video of all the February ones. So I always try to balance it out when there are delays. There were more this year, but again, I'm in the middle of a wildfire zone. So hopefully you guys are kind and understanding about that. All right, take care. I'll see you soon. And again, have a great January.